Hello, I'm Terry McKenna, and I'm here in my music studio in Stratford, Ontario, and I've been invited to guest on a couple of the Stratford Symphony Orchestra concerts that are coming up. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of background to myself. I moved from Regina to Toronto with a rock and roll band in 1969. And we lived in the Yorkville area, and it was sort of the tail end of the Yorkville scene. I won't go into any details, of course, but I also lived a few blocks away from a really great classical guitar teacher, Ellie Kastner, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. But I began guitar lessons with Ellie Kastner on classical guitar. The band broke up, and eventually, as one thing leads to the next, I was asked to play in a play version of The Juggler of Notre Dame. And the music was going to be earlier than music I'd ever played before. In fact, I thought I must need a lute. So I borrowed a lute from a friend of mine and fell in love with the instrument and the music. So from the sort of early to mid 70s, I developed this interest in the lute and other early music and instruments. I went to study in England, in London, England for a year, and came back to Toronto, and luckily was asked to join the Toronto Consort, a wonderful group that also started in the early 70s. And I played with that group up until a couple of years ago. And we played all kinds of medieval, Renaissance, and early Baroque period music for voices and instruments. And I kept buying more instruments as my budget could allow and my interests took me. So that continued along, and I have a collection of instruments that I play. There's more guitars now than lutes, and the guitars go from the early Renaissance guitar right up until the early 19th century Romantic style guitar. So I really enjoy playing those instruments, and for these upcoming concerts, I'll be playing two of my instruments. One is a lute, and here's a picture of the lute right there. And the other instrument will be my Baroque guitar. So this is what guitars looked like back in the 17th century. There you go. Two cool instruments. I hope you get a chance to listen to them. Cheerio.